who are arrogant are nearly always people who are insecure. Now, I also think that we need to recognise that we do have a managed system now, and we need to have a higher quality teaching and education for people who will be managers, whether those are people with a medical or nursing background or people with a purely management background. It's not the same as managing Tesco's. It's not just about creating a profit at the bottom line. You are actually talking about managing the biggest organisation in Scotland, and you are talking about people's lives and deaths and health. And therefore you need to have people who are orientated towards that. So I think that, what we've heard about issues in Tayside, what we've heard about issues in Highland, I would hope that that'll lead to a recognition that we actually have to invest in how people work. I had lots of people who tried to bully me, but frankly, I'm not that bullyable. But people shouldn't have to go to work in a Kevlar vest. Now, unfortunately, I now have to do that as an MP. Actually, as a breast cancer surgeon, as a consultant, looking after women, people were lovely to me. I tell you, my first day on Twitter after becoming an MP was a real eye-opener. It's a wonder we can get anyone to be MPs, let alone women. But I do think that we actually have to be teaching people, young doctors, young managers, about what the aim is. And we should be training. I think we should be taking much more control over how we train our young doctors. Because I can tell you, last year, after their first 2 foundation years, as they're called, half of young doctors left the UK. Now, in my day, we might have lost like 2-3%. 2011, it was 29%. And last year, it was half. They are so miserable in those 2 years. And that's not even bullying. That is just poor organisation. It's not a system that gives them satisfaction. They don't work the ridiculous hours that I used to work, but they still work long hours, and yet they've no patient continuity, they've no patient ownership, they're not part of a team. So all the things that still made my job really satisfying when I was a junior doctor, they don't have. And I think we seriously have to look at that. And that involves, how do you have real support structures, mental health support, job satisfaction? Because frankly, I'm sure Ian will say the same. We work the long hours, but if you've got the job satisfaction of seeing somebody getting better and knowing you were part of it, then that is a huge reward that keeps you going. If actually, when they get better, you're working somewhere else and you don't even know they got better, they're missing out on that. So I think we have a lot to do to reform how our young doctors are trained. And I think that applies to our managers as well.
Any chance of banning bow ties?
Oh, I think bow ties are ties are gone. Well, there might be a few bow ties, but you're not allowed ties. And you're not allowed long sleeves, and you're not allowed watches. So ordinary ties have gone. There may be some who are wearing bow ties because they don't apparently trail through the wound the way they think ordinary ties do. And yet people are allowed to walk around with lanyards and ID cards on them, But there we go. Hopefully the bow tie is just naturally dying out, I would suggest.
I gave up my tie and my long sleeves before the edicts came from on high, I have to say. I do remember, however, as a medical student in Kirkcaldy, being in theatre and being surprised when a certain near-retirement surgeon appeared in theatre with his fag and proceeded to have a conversation with the surgeon, the senior registrar in theatre, and so things have changed slightly since these days. So I think that's that. So it just remains for me to thank Philippa for coming along to speak to us this evening. I thought it was a most fantastic lecture. It went over the NHS side of things, but on more general points of view of independence. I feel very energised by it, and I hope you do too. Thanks, Philippa.
And that'll do it for this episode. Big thanks to Jerry from Independence Live for letting me have the audio. Given that the UK government were talking some strange plans about a Brexit party, Independence Day, whatever, I think this is the perfect song to play us out with this week, and if you've got any children in the room, it's probably time to turn it off. Speak to you next time.
drip stinging my remaining eye. I finally managed to reach the station, only to find that the bus replacement service had broken down. After wondering to myself whether or not it should actually be called a train replacement service, I walked out onto the concourse and noticed the giant screen seemed to have been tampered with, probably by a junior employee. Disgruntled commuters were being regaled with some dismal TVM involving a tug-of-love custody battle. Stockard Channing held sway. Down in the high street, somebody careered out of boots without due care or attention. I suggested they learn some pedestrian etiquette, i.e. sidle out of the store gingerly and brace the margin. Fat kids with sausage rolls, poor sons conducting polls. There's a man with a mullet going mad with a mallet in millets. I tried to put everything into perspective, set it against the scale of human suffering, and I thought of the Mugabe government and the children of the Calcutta Railways. This worked for a while, but then I encountered Primark FM. Overhead a rainbow appears, in black and white. I guess this must be national. This surely must be national. Don't tell me it's national. May the Lord have mercy on Stringy Bob.